Peru, please look after this bear. A new Paddington film has been announced, my friends, and this time he's in Peru, trying to find his auntie, who might be dead? She's missing, that's all we know from the trailer, but yeah, I hope Aunt Lucy gets found alive and well. The reception for the Paddington 3 trailer has been pretty positive, with several articles writing about how excited they are for the upcoming Paddington film, and deservedly so. This series is beloved by people of all ages. All the movies in the Paddington franchise have a PG rating, so the franchise is pretty much targeted to everyone. And because of that, Paddington is a pretty accessible franchise. And because it's such an accessible franchise, anyone from anywhere of any age can watch this film and find something to enjoy. And they do a lot of great things in their movies, so there is something for everyone. And this, I imagine, contributes a lot to Paddington's success. Paddington is a very famous icon in the UK, but with the movie releases, it's gaining traction internationally. Paddington's influence is growing. The cult of Paddington is growing, you could say. But you know, it's a nice cult, a respectable cult, one where we wear colorful pink outfits. Paddington's influence and significance has been growing in all parts of the world, with the Paddington books, which there are 56 of them, having been translated into 30 languages across 70 titles, and having sold more than 30 million copies worldwide. Paddington Bear has been around in the UK for more than 6 decades, but now, with the releases of the Paddington movies, he's becoming more and more mainstream, and it's fascinating to see this British icon growing into an international figure. One that represents positivity, love, and kindness. And so people from all around the world have been waiting patiently for about 7 years for this new Paddington adventure, and this time he's going back to Peru. New characters and actors are being introduced, and new dangers are being introduced as well. This movie seems to be a lot more ambitious than the previous 2 films, with Paddington facing a lot more life-threatening situations, it seems like, which leads me to believe that Paddington in Peru will probably be a little bit more mature than the previous 2 films, because the people who watched Paddington 1 and 2 have grown up by this point, so maybe the film is taking this into account and making the themes and just general story more mature. Kind of like an Inside Out 2 and Toy Story 4 situation. Let's hope it's not too mature though, because part of what makes this series so magical is its whimsical and lighthearted nature, and so I hope they don't lose that. With Paddington being back in his natural habitat, there are so many ways that this story can go. Like for example, at the end of this movie, Paddington could just decide to stay, and this could be the end of the Paddington film franchise. The previous 2 films were very moving and emotional, but this movie has the potential to be even more emotional than those 2. One of the actors in the Paddington franchise, Tom Davis, also plays a character in Wonka, and Paul King, the director of the first 2 Paddington films, also directed Wonka. So there are a lot of similarities between Wonka and the Paddington franchise, so maybe they can do a crossover as well someday. But if that doesn't happen, then we can always look forward to Paddington the Musical, if you're in the UK of course, which is set to open in 2025. But not to worry if you can't catch the musical. There are tons of Paddington content out there in the wild, like the aforementioned 56 books, and Paddington also has 2 TV shows I believe, which are rated pretty well. And of course, you can always rewatch Paddington 1 and 2. I mean, where do I even begin with those 2 movies? Both films were nominated for the BAFTA Award for Outstanding British Film, and both are rated more than 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. At one point, Paddington 2 was at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, until one person left a negative review of Paddington 2 on Rotten Tomatoes in 2021. Whoever did that, just know that Paddington is giving you a hard stare. Besides that one person, I think we can all agree that Paddington is a special franchise, one that has so much love and care baked into it. This franchise could have very easily been very, very bad, if not for the methodical care and love that was given to it. It really seems like everyone who worked on this film genuinely gave it their all. From the director Paul King, to the director of photography, to the animation director, to the costume designers, to the visual effects team, to the makeup and styling department, to the actors, to the voice actors. Everyone just seemed to really care about this. The Paddington movies are playful, smart, creative, whimsical, friendly, positive, funny. Sometimes the sequences feel like a Monty Python sketch. There's an interview with Hugh Grant where he described the movies as unapologetically positive, or something like that, and I couldn't agree more. Sally Hawkins did an interview regarding the Paddington movies, and she just looked so happy in them. Like, this level of enthusiasm and happiness cannot be bought. And yeah, just from the interviews, you can just see how much the people who worked on it really loved working on it, really loved the project and the material. So that gives me a lot of hope for Paddington in Peru. You know, there's also an interview with Pablo Grillo, who is the animation director for the Paddington films, and in the interview he was just talking about how animating these films is such a hard task, but he wants to do it. The people who animate this film want to work on this, want to animate it. They want to be careful and meticulous and make sure that everything is right. And that kind of energy is 1 in a million and priceless. Nicole Kidman, who was the villain in the first Paddington film, was a huge fan of the books as a child, and so it was a dream come true for her to be part of the Paddington film. There are even pictures of her reading the Paddington books to groups of children. So the love for Paddington goes deep. Hugh Grant said that Paddington 2 may be his best film ever. Like, it's crazy how much love Paddington gets. Deservedly so, by the way. One thing that I don't really see people talking about when it comes to the Paddington films is just how good they do the adventure mystery elements, because there is a ton of mystery in the first 2 Paddington films. In the first film, it was like the mystery of whether Paddington can find Montgomery Clyde, who was the British explorer who gave his aunt and aunt his hat, the infamous hat. So that was like the main mystery, if he can track down Montgomery Clyde, and also whether he can fit into London and this new environment. And then Paddington 2, of course, was the mystery of who was the thief. And they did those elements really well, and I don't really see that many people talking about it, so I just wanted to bring that up here. And yeah, the Paddington films are always a fun adventure. We've all also probably seen that video of the Queen and Paddington sharing a meal together, so that was pretty fun. And Paddington 2 was referenced in the movie The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, the one with Pedro Pascal and Nicolas Cage, which I thought was really funny. Paddington in Peru has all the right ingredients to make a wonderful film, like having their wonderful cast be back for the 3rd film. You know, Hugh Bonneville as Henry Brown, Julie Walters as Mrs. Bird, Ben Whishaw as the voice of Paddington, and the newcomers Olivia Colman and Antonio Banderas. Some roles were shifted around, like Mrs. Brown and Gina Cabot, with Sally Hawkins being replaced by Emily Mortimer, and Rachel Zegler being replaced by Carla Tu. So while we will definitely mourn their losses, we can look forward to see these new actors perform. The Paddington films have great music, with the soundtrack from Paddington 1 being composed by Nick Urata, and the soundtrack for Paddington 2 being composed by Dario Marianelli. So I'm looking forward to this music in the new film. Heyday Films is the production company that makes the Paddington films, and they're previously responsible for movies like Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, and I Am Legend. So Paddington is in pretty good hands here. Paddington 1 had a budget of around $55 million US and earned back more than 4 times that amount. Paddington 2 had a budget of around $40 million US and earned back $227 million. So I'm very positive Paddington 3 will make a profit with a budget of maybe $60 million. Paddington in Peru is set to release in the UK on November 8th, 2024, and on January 17th, 2025 in the US. In honor of Michael Bond, the creator of Paddington, let's hope this movie does exceptionally well. Thank you for watching, my friends. What do you think of the Paddington franchise? Do you like the movies? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to read your responses. Thank you for watching once again. Have a wonderful day.